Hey, it's James from HalfSun DSP, and I'm very excited today to announce our brand new plugin, which is called the Black Amp Suite. This is based on Metallica's Black Album. It has the clean, the crunch, and the lead sounds. These are absolutely iconic, probably the most popular sound in all of metal, and has set the standard for what a heavy sound should be. We are super excited. All of the secrets are here, all of the studio tools, everything is built in to one plugin, so you can go from clean DI to final Black Album sound with one plugin. So we are going to do two videos right now. The first is going to be a walkthrough of the plugin, all the features, everything that you want to know. All of the details will be in this video, and then the next video will be a demo, a casual playthrough of all of the sounds that you can get within the Black Amp Suite. So that's enough talking, let's get into the plugin. Okay, so let's have a look at our interface. So it's a very simple interface. As you can see, everything that you need is right here on the main page. So let's have a look from start to finish. We'll go through all the features and show you what's in there, all of the secrets. We'll reveal everything in this little video, and then in the next video we will do a sound demo so you can have a listen to these tones in action. So let's start with the clean channel. So this is the amp that you've heard across their entire catalog. This is the clean sound for Metallica. So it's based on the Roland JC120, which is the infamous stereo, chorus, reverb, clean amp, solid state, but it has very specific sound, and when you integrate it with the overall chain, which is the thing that you'll notice in this plugin and basically most of our plugins, is it's about the big picture. We're not doing the typical where you get the amp and then you've got to create the tone and use other plugins and try and build it from scratch. This is about the full chain from start to finish, so you can get the sounds that you want from these amps. So the classic amp, we've got simple controls that will be familiar. There's a few extra things that we've put on just to make it nice and easy. So you've got your bright switch, which is always good. With all of the knobs on this plugin, as you turn it, it'll give you the value so you can keep a good idea of where you're at. So we've got the preamp volume. This amp stays very clean no matter how hard you drive it, which is ideal. When you're looking at high headroom solid state stuff, this sounds awesome. Then typical treble, middle, bass. We've got a reverb, which is not the typical reverb that would be on this J120 amp. It's a studio reverb, which sounds more like the actual album recording actually is. So that is the reverb control. It can go from subtle to really wet, and it sounds awesome. We've got a chorus, which has a little bit more control than would typically be found on this sort of amp if you had the real one. You've got the amount, you've got the speed and the depth, so it can go really warbly if you want, or subtle and like the albums. It's got the impulse response built into it so that it is the sound from the album. And the Black Album as a whole is kind of super iconic. All of the sounds, the clean, the crunch, the lead, everything is just, it's perfect. It's over the top, it sounds awesome, it sits in a mix perfectly, and there's a lot of secrets that the producers and the band use to get these sounds to sound larger than life. And a lot of that is a combination of small things to make up the big picture. So this is our clean amp. We'll go through all of the extra features up top and the different channels and stuff. So on each channel, you'll notice we've got some effects panels here. This one's blacked out because we don't have any pre-effects for the clean channel, much like in the real recordings. So we've got our chromatic tuner, which is very simple, super accurate, really nice, easy to use, a must-have. It bypasses the signal as well when you're using it, because nobody wants to hear that. Then we've got our post effects. So for the clean channel, crunch channel, and the lead channel, this will be shared. And we've got a EQ unit and a compression expansion unit. So these are a bit of a secret weapon that a lot of people don't talk about when you're looking at the Black Album. It's based on these old Aphex units that Hetfield uses for his rhythm guitar sound. I've heard that it's over the album across most of the guitars, and there's a lot of really good tones that can be found. So we've got completely individually bypassable bands, so you can use or not use whichever ones that you want. You've got simple gain and your frequency control for the high, mid, and the low bands. They're fantastic, super musical, like the original unit. They are exactly where you want them to be. Easy to use, you just dial it into taste. We've got a low cut filter, so you can get rid of any of the mud, and you've got the high cut filter, so you can get rid of that really sizzly top end if you don't want it. Then we've got our compressor expander unit, which is again an Aphex unit. You can master bypass, or alternatively you can bypass the individual effects within. So compression, which is a fixed compression ratio, attack and release, just like the original unit. It's really nice, sounds great on clean, great on crunch, can add a bit of weight and consistency to the tone. The expansion is where I think the real secret is, especially to the rhythm guitar sound, and it's something no one really talks about. This unit, it adds attack and it adds a certain dryness to the sound where sometimes you'll find, especially with the Mesa amps, they tend to be kind of squishy and they don't hit like on the recordings, and a lot of that is how it's processed. So this expansion, adding a little bit of expanding onto your rhythm sound, will dry it up, make it really tight and sound awesome. And then you've got an output to control the overall level to compensate, because as you compress, the level will go down and you can make up for that using the output control. So you may have noticed on here we've got these little LEDs here. So when you're on the main page, if you want to control or bypass the effects that are in these effect panels without having to click and take that extra bit of time, you can bypass or enable them directly from the LED, which is really cool. Then finally, each specific channel has its own studio magic, and this is where the real magic is. As you know, guitar tones rarely are an amp with a cab straight in, and that's what they end up using. It's usually a lot of processing, parallel stuff, some interesting units that are used. For the Black Album, they were being very creative. There was a lot of interesting production techniques which have been covered but have rarely been incorporated into a digital format, which is what we've got now. So the studio magic is some secret processing to a certain extent. The color might give away what it is or what they were doing. It's something that for the clean channel specifically, it's a very simple one knob, turn it up and it does more. It is good to use it subtly. Basically 50% is a good midpoint and it lets you hear the effect but not overpower too much. And really this is adding clarity, sustain. It's giving you that almost 12-string like effect that the clean guitars have on Enter Sandman or something like that, for example. It's really brings you to that mix ready sound immediately, so that's cool. And you can always bypass it, dial it in, see if you like it. So let's move on to the crunch channel. So this amp will be instantly recognizable to those who know. The name gives it away a little bit if you know the amp that this is. It's the Mesa Boogie Mark II C Plus is what it's based on, and also a modified version. The Crunchberries thing is just like the original, which is really cool. It's got the typical controls that you'd expect from this amp, plus the addition of a really good noise gate to clamp down on any noise. It's really great. You've got the graphic EQ. It's just awesome. Little Easter egg for those who know. It's fantastic. High gain, saturated, really nice sounding, like plenty of low end, plenty of control with EQ, and then if you combine that with your post effects, like especially the expansion on this channel sounds amazing, and this is what they used for the recording. We've got, again, same universal controls for your EQ and the compressor, so that's really cool. And again, all bypassable from the main window. And we've got the Studio Magic for this channel, which again, the knob gives away what it's kind of doing. This is the big secret for those rhythm guitar sounds. And the way that you would do this normally would have to be blending other amps, routing, making sure that you're in phase, doing all of the stuff to try and make this work, which can be complicated and can be frustrating to do. So we've incorporated it into a really simple one knob. You turn it up, and in the mix, it'll make it sound exactly like you want it to sound. So this is really cool to do if you're doing quad tracking, which was very popular for that album. You do left, right, without, and then do a center channel with this on, and you'll hear why it sounds exactly like the album does. And finally, this wouldn't be finished without the lead sound. So the solos on this album are obviously iconic. They're awesome. The tone is really cool too. So the basis of the sound is the same amp, which is exactly like on the album. You can see, got a little skull to represent. Again, same effects as previous when we're looking at the post effects, but we've got the addition of some pre-effects now. So no Metallica amp sim that's inspired by Metallica would be complete without a wah. And this specific wah is basically on everything. Really simple, it's an auto wah, so we've taken that control and it responds to you playing really well. but we have some advanced features that you can click on to adjust these settings. So sensitivity will give you a bit more, depending on how you're picking, it'll react to that. Much like if you were using your foot, it gives you a little bit of control there, which is great. The range, again, you can adjust it and dial it into your guitar to make sure it sounds exactly like the album, and then the speed, obviously, is self-explanatory. Cool thing with these pedals, they can just be clicked on to bypass. Same with the LEDs, so you can control it from the main window as well. We've got the typical tube screamer, which was used for the solos here and there on the album. The typical TS9, which is the one that everybody wants. Sounds great. Mid, forward, push, extra sustain, extra everything. It sounds great always on. Again, bypassable, the typical controls there. So we've gone over our post effects. And finally, the studio magic for this channel was the addition of a very special preamp. And the way that it was incorporated was done so that, again, no phase cancellation, so that it's all coherent and sounds great together. It gives you the sustain, it gives you all of the tone. It, under the fingers, it feels right, and that's, I think, the most important part when you're playing these leads, in addition to the wah and the tube screamer. Having this, it's the sound, it creates everything that you need, and then some. So you can dial that in with this. The knob gives it away a little bit, maybe, and again, bypassable, all that good stuff. So that brings us to the top panel here, which is all the utility effects and some extra features that would come in a lot of handy when you're trying to get these sounds. So we start with GUI size to make it smaller or bigger depending on what sort of screen you're on. Really handy, good to have, nice to have it bigger for us oldies that are blind. We've got an oversampling control here. So basically at an oversampling mode, it's 4 times oversampling, it creates the highest quality sound, uses a little more processing. It's still relatively low processing overall, which is great, but if you're on an older system or you want to save and have a lot of instances of this plugin, turn the oversampling off. Slight sound difference, but nothing major in a mix, wouldn't worry about it. So that's really cool. We've got a thickener, which is a little bit different from most. We've got a few processes happening simultaneously for this control, which is really cool. There's some tape saturation, as there would have been on the real recording. We've got some stereo stuff, so if you're running this in mono, you'll get a certain character. If you're running in stereo, you'll get the really big width, and it'll sound great as a third layer. It's really, really cool. A few more things in there, but just suffice to say, it is a really nice thickening agent for your guitars. We've got an automatic input calibration, which is super important. For any sort of amp sim, you need to be hitting the plugin at the correct level to get the exact sound that you want. So this takes all of the guessing out. You literally hit it, play for a little bit, and it'll set itself perfectly to where you need to be. So that's really cool. We've got the 81 mode. So as everyone knows at this point, Metallica are using EMG 81s for the longest time, and it has basically ingrained in the sound. That's just Metallica sound. It's the EMG 81 played through this rig. So if you don't have an EMG 81 in your guitar, you are not limited, because we do have our proprietary pickup modeling, which is a dynamic model that reacts to your guitar and to your playing and gives you the character of this EMG 81 to hit the amp in the correct way to get the sound. And then finally, we've got the Het attack, which is a really cool control. It kind of emulates picking like an absolute animal, as Hetfield does. It gives you a little more attack, a little different character on the pick. It's a really cool control, good for layering. It's really good to try and see if you think the sound is better with that or without. Depends on how you play, depends on your pick, all that sort of stuff. Really cool control to overall change the character of the amp. That's it. Really simple plugin. It is decades of listening to these albums and working and trying to figure out how they got these sounds and collecting all the information and putting it in one place. So if you've been chasing this tone like I have, this is a really, really good way to get it. We're super happy with it. We appreciate everyone who's checked out all of our plugins before with the Reaper Suite, and now we are really excited to be releasing the Black Amp Suite to you guys. So thanks so much for watching. We are going to do a test video of all of the sounds that you'll get in this amp, and you can get your copy at HalfSunDSP.com.